"Sir, this is a waste of everyone's time." Jessica Harmon didn't lower her voice. The branch was full. Tuesday morning. 11 customers waiting in the marble lobby of Metropolitan Trust's flagship location. Adrian sat across from her desk. Jeans, gray pullover, no watch. Canvas messenger bag resting against the chair leg. He'd requested a standard business line of credit, $50,000. Jessica had glanced at the application, looked at him, laughed. "You listed your occupation as consultant, no employer verification, no tax returns attached, and you're asking for an unsecured line?" She turned her monitor toward the lobby. "Look at this credit inquiry history, 6 banks in 3 months. Classic loan shopping behavior." A woman in the waiting area glanced over. Jessica's volume increased. "I'll be honest with you. This application wouldn't qualify you for a secured credit card, let alone a business line. Did someone tell you we just approve everyone who walks in?" Adrian said nothing. "I'm going to save you some time." Jessica closed the file. "Metropolitan Trust serves serious business clients, not—" She gestured vaguely at his clothing. "Whatever this is." She pressed a button under her desk. Security approached. Not aggressive, just present. "Marcus will show you out. I'd recommend trying a community bank or maybe one of those online lenders that don't ask questions." Adrian stood, picked up his bag. "Thank you for your time." His voice was quiet, unremarkable. Jessica was already opening her next file. Adrian walked past the security guard, through the marble lobby, out the brass revolving door. Gone. Jessica didn't watch him leave. She had 12 more appointments today. Outside, Adrian crossed the street, sat on a bench. Columbus Park, facing the bank. He pulled a phone from his bag, not the one most people carry, one number in the contacts. He dialed. "It's me," Adrian said. "Metropolitan Trust, flagship branch. I need the board composition, executive structure, and a complete profile on a loan officer named Jessica Harmon." Pause. 2 hours. He ended the call, sat for another minute, watching people enter and exit the bank. Then he stood, walked east, disappeared into the financial district crowd. Jessica's afternoon moved fast. 3 approvals, 2 denials, 1 escalation to her manager about a commercial real estate deal. By 4 p.m., she'd forgotten the man in the gray pullover entirely. Her manager, David Chen, stopped by her desk at 4:47 p.m. "Quick question. Did you reject someone this morning? No employer verification?" Jessica scrolled through her system. "Yeah, consultant. Terrible application. Why?" David's expression was careful. "Compliance flagged it. Just want to make sure we documented the denial correctly." "I documented everything. He didn't qualify. Simple." "Right. Just send me your notes. Standard review." He walked away before she could ask why compliance cared about a $50,000 rejection. Across the city, Adrian sat in an office that didn't have his name anywhere. 19th floor, overlooking the harbor. No signage on the door. His assistant, Caroline, had delivered the file at 2 p.m., exactly on schedule. He read it slowly. Metropolitan Trust Bank, founded 1987, acquired by Vail Holdings in 2019 through a subsidiary structure. Current market position, 3rd largest regional commercial bank. Board composition, 11 members. Adrian controlled 6 seats through various holding entities. CEO, Richard Pemberton, appointed 2021. Branch manager, flagship location, David Chen, 8 years tenure. Loan officer, Jessica Harmon, 3 years at Metropolitan Trust. Previously worked at 2 other banks. Performance reviews, excellent. Customer satisfaction, high. Denial rate, above average but within acceptable range. Adrian set the file down, picked up his phone, different number this time. "Caroline, schedule a board meeting. Metropolitan Trust. Friday morning. Full board attendance required." Subject, institutional culture review. He ended the call, stood, looked out the window at the city grid below. People moving, systems operating, nobody noticing the architecture underneath. Thursday morning. Jessica arrived at work to find David waiting at her desk. "We need to talk." She followed him to his office. Glass walls, door closed. "Compliance is doing a deeper review on that rejection from Tuesday. They want your full assessment notes and the customer interaction summary." Jessica frowned. "For a $50,000 denial? That's not standard." "I know, but it came from higher up." "How high?" David hesitated. "Regional. Jessica pulled up her files. I'll send everything, but I stand by the decision. He didn't qualify. I'm sure. Just cooperate fully with whatever they ask. She left his office confused but not concerned. She'd followed every protocol. Friday morning, 6 a.m. Metropolitan Trust's board convened in the executive conference room. 23rd floor, walnut table, leather chairs. Richard Pemberton, CEO, sat at the head. 11 board members filled the seats. 6 of them worked for companies Adrian controlled. They didn't advertise the connection. The 7th was Adrian himself. He sat 3 seats from the end. Simple suit, no tie, didn't speak during the opening remarks. Richard presented quarterly numbers. Strong performance, loan portfolio growth, customer acquisition trending up. Any concerns? Richard asked. Silence. Then Adrian raised a hand slightly. Richard noticed. Adrian? Customer experience, Adrian said. Are we measuring for dignity? The room shifted. Adrian rarely spoke at these meetings. Dignity? Richard repeated. How customers are treated when they don't fit our usual profile. Richard glanced at his notes. Our satisfaction scores are strong. Scores measure approved customers. What about rejected ones? One of the board members leaned forward. Are you suggesting we track sentiment from denials? I'm suggesting we review how rejection is communicated. Adrian's tone remained level. Especially in public spaces. Richard made a note. We can look into training protocols. I'd like a specific case review. Flagship branch. This week, a loan officer named Jessica Harmon. The room went still. Richard kept his expression neutral. Do you have a specific concern? I'd like her customer interaction logs pulled, particularly Tuesday morning. Richard nodded slowly. I'll have compliance provide a report. By end of day. It wasn't a question. Richard understood. Of course. The meeting continued. Standard business, market analysis, risk assessment. Adrian said nothing else. When it ended, the board members filed out. Richard stayed behind, pulled out his phone, called the head of compliance directly. I need everything on a loan officer named Jessica Harmon, flagship branch, every customer interaction this week. Prioritize Tuesday morning. Pause. Because a board member asked. That's why. Jessica's day started normal. Mortgage approval, small business denial, commercial line restructure. At 2:30 p.m., her phone rang. Internal line. Jessica, it's David. Can you come to my office? When she arrived, David wasn't alone. A woman from HR, a man from legal, David behind his desk, all 3 standing. Have a seat, David said. Jessica sat. What's going on? The HR director spoke first. We're conducting a review of customer interactions, specifically your appointment on Tuesday morning at 9:15 a.m. Jessica pulled up her mental notes. The consultant, I rejected his application. Standard denial. Can you walk us through how you communicated that? I explained he didn't meet our criteria. No employer verification, thin credit profile, multiple recent inquiries. I was professional. The legal representative opened a tablet. We pulled the security footage. He turned it toward her. Video, no audio. But the body language was clear. Jessica gesturing. The customer sitting still, her turning the monitor toward him. Security approaching. I was thorough, Jessica said. Maybe direct, but that's not against policy. Were there other customers present? It's a bank. There are always customers. Did you raise your voice? Jessica paused. I don't think so. Did you make comments about his appearance or social class? Her stomach tightened. I might have suggested he try a different type of lender. That's guidance. That's my job. David spoke carefully. Jessica, the customer filed a formal complaint. For what? I rejected a bad application. For public humiliation and discriminatory treatment. Jessica stood. That's insane. He didn't qualify. I have the documentation. The complaint isn't about the denial, the legal rep said. It's about the manner. Who even was he? Some guy trying to scam the system? The HR director and legal rep exchanged a glance. David spoke quietly. That's what we're trying to understand. 4 p.m. Richard Pemberton received the compliance report. 40 pages. Every customer interaction Jessica Harmon conducted that week, with special attention to Tuesday, 9:15 a.m. The footage had been isolated, audio enhanced from the security system's directional mics. Richard put in headphones, watched, listened. Jessica's voice came through clearly. "This is a waste of everyone's time. Classic loan shopping behavior. Did someone tell you we just approve everyone who walks in? Not whatever this is." Richard stopped the video, picked up his phone, called the head of security. "The customer from Tuesday morning, the one Jessica Harmon rejected. Do we have his entry and exit on camera?" "Yes, sir." "Send me clear stills of his face." 3 minutes later, the photos arrived. Richard opened them, studied the face. Ordinary, unremarkable, nothing that would trigger recognition from typical staff. But Richard had been CEO for 3 years. He'd attended board meetings. He knew every board member's face. His hands went cold. He opened his contacts, scrolled to the private number Adrian had provided when joining the board. Dialed. Adrian answered on the first ring. "Mr. Pemberton?" Richard's voice was careful. "Adrian, I've reviewed the incident. I want to apologize personally. Is the officer still employed?" Silence. "She's currently under review." "That's not what I asked." Richard closed his eyes. "Yes, she's still employed. Does she know who filed the complaint?" "No." "Good. Don't tell her yet." Adrian ended the call. Jessica left work at 6 p.m., confused, angry, defensive. She'd done her job, exactly as trained. At home, she opened her laptop, searched for information on complaint procedures, found the bank's customer service resolution page. Formal complaints require documentation, customer name, account number, incident details. She pulled up her system access remotely, searched for Tuesday's appointments. The 9:15 slot showed a name, Adrian Vale. She didn't recognize it, typed it into Google. The results loaded. She scrolled, stopped, read, scrolled faster. Adrian Vale, founder, Vale Holdings. Net worth estimated $3.2 billion. Portfolio includes telecommunications, real estate, and financial services. Her vision tunneled. She clicked on a financial news article from 2019. Vale Holdings acquires Metropolitan Trust through subsidiary Aberdeen Capital Partners. She sat back. The room felt smaller. She searched for images, found a photo from a business conference. Adrian Vale speaking at a panel. Different clothing, professional setting, but the same face. The same man who'd sat across from her desk in jeans and a pullover. The man she'd called a waste of time. The man she'd had security escort out. The man who owned the bank. Monday morning. Jessica didn't sleep. She arrived at the branch at 6:30 a.m., waited in her car, tried to plan what to say. By 8 a.m., David's car pulled in. She intercepted him at the entrance. "David, I know who filed the complaint." He looked at her carefully. "So do I." It was... "Don't say the name out loud. Come to my office." Inside, door closed, David sat heavily. "I was informed over the weekend," he said, "by Richard directly." "What do we do?" "We don't do anything. I've been instructed to place you on administrative leave pending a full investigation." "David, I didn't know." "It doesn't matter if you knew." Jessica's voice cracked. "I followed protocol. He didn't qualify. I can prove..." "Jessica." David's tone was firm, but not unkind. "This isn't about the loan decision. It's about how you treated someone you assumed had no power. I treated him like any other unqualified applicant." "Did you?" She stopped. David pulled up the security footage on his computer, played it without sound. "Watch yourself. Really watch." Jessica saw herself gesturing dismissively, turning the screen toward the lobby, raising her voice, smiling when security approached. "That's not how you reject qualified customers who don't fit the current deal structure," David said. "That's how you humiliate someone you think can't fight back." Jessica looked away. "I'm recommending termination," David said quietly. "Not because you rejected him, because you enjoyed it." The board convened again, Wednesday. Emergency session. Richard presented his findings. The footage, the audio, the officer's history. "My recommendation is immediate termination and a comprehensive review of customer interaction training across all branches," one board member spoke. "Do we have legal exposure?" "Minimal. No laws were broken, but reputational risk is significant if this becomes public." Another voice. "Has anyone spoken to Adrian directly?" Richard glanced down the table. Adrian sat in his usual seat, listening. "I've apologized personally," Richard said, "and I've assured him we're handling it appropriately. Is he satisfied?" Richard looked at Adrian. Adrian spoke for the first time. "I'm not interested in satisfaction. I'm interested in whether this is systemic or isolated." Richard had prepared for this. "We've reviewed customer complaint data for the past 2 years. This officer had a higher than average rate of complaints regarding manner and tone, but nothing formal was escalated. Why not? Performance metrics focused on approval rates and risk management, not customer dignity." Adrian nodded slowly. "Change the metrics." Richard made a note. "We will." "And the officer?" "Terminated. Effective today." Adrian said nothing else. The meeting continued. Risk assessments, compliance protocols, new training requirements, but everyone in the room understood. The real meeting had already happened. Jessica was informed at 2 p.m. HR legal. David present again. "Your employment is terminated effective immediately." She didn't cry, didn't argue, just asked one question. "Did he request this personally?" The HR director paused. "The decision was made by executive leadership." "But he's part of executive leadership." No response. Jessica gathered her personal items, badge, photos, a plant from her desk. Security walked her out. Not Marcus this time, someone else, through the marble lobby where she'd humiliated a man in front of 11 witnesses, out the brass revolving door, gone. Adrian never returned to that branch, didn't need to. The application he'd submitted was processed through a different location, approved in 40 minutes, $50,000 unsecured line. He never used it. 3 months later, Metropolitan Trust implemented new customer experience protocols. Every loan officer completed mandatory training. Subject, dignity in denial. Mystery shoppers were deployed. Testing how rejection felt from the customer side, performance reviews were restructured. Customer complaint data weighted equally with approval rates. The flagship branch installed visible plaques in the lobby. Every customer deserves respect regardless of the outcome. Jessica found work at a smaller bank, regional, less prestigious. Her termination from Metropolitan Trust was listed as policy violation. No details, no reference available. She never told anyone what really happened. Adrian sat in his unnamed office. Caroline placed a file on his desk. Another acquisition, different sector. "The energy deal closes Friday," she said, "and you have a board meeting at Metropolitan Trust next quarter." Adrian opened the file, started reading, didn't look up when he spoke. "Cancel the board meeting. Send my proxy." "You're stepping down?" "No, just attending remotely. I've seen what I needed to see." Caroline left. Adrian continued reading. Outside his window, the city moved. People making choices, not knowing who was watching. 6 months later, a different bank, different city. A customer walked in wearing work boots and a faded jacket, applied for a small business loan. The loan officer looked at him, looked at the application, remembered a training video, a story about a billionaire who walked into a bank in jeans. She didn't know if it was real, but she chose to believe it might be. "Let me see what we can do," she said. Her voice was kind. The customer didn't own the bank, but she treated him like he might. "Power doesn't need to prove itself. It just needs to be underestimated once.